Hi students, I am N. Mehta Begum, BT Assistant English from Chennai High School, KP Street, Mylapore. During this lockdown period, the Greater Chennai Corporation has arranged online classes for the 10th standard students and to prepare them for the board exams. Wishing you all the very best during their exams and for this coming year. I hope you will benefit a lot from this YouTube channel. Today's session, you are going to learn active and passive voice. Before we go deeper into the active and passive voice learning, I would like you to revise on the sentence pattern first. Now look at this sentence. The boy ate a cake. In this sentence, the boy is the subject. Ate is an action word, so it is a verb, and object is cake here. The boy is eating a cake, so the boy ate a cake. The sentence pattern will be subject plus verb plus object. Now tell me, is it possible to change this sentence in another form? Can you write it in another form? Yes, very good. It is possible. We can also write it in this form without changing the meaning. A cake was eaten by the boy. In this second sentence, I still have the cake. I still have the boy with me. Now what is that I have changed? I have changed the verb. The verb in the first sentence is ate, whereas the verb in the second sentence is was eaten. Now coming to the point, in the first sentence, the boy is the subject and cake is the object. In the second sentence, a cake is the subject and boy is the object. Now the difference between these two sentences is, here the subject is active. The subject is performing the action of eating a cake. The subject is the doer of the action and hence it is called as the active voice. Whereas in the second sentence, the subject, the cake, is receiving the action. The action is being done on the subject. The subject is passive. Hence it is called as the passive voice. Now how to change active voice into passive voice? For converting active voice into passive voice, you need to follow certain rules. The subject and the object, as you saw in the previous sentence examples, they have changed places. The subject has become the object and the object has become the subject. And you use the past participle form of the verb. Like ate is changed into eaten and you place by before the object. The object here is boy and you have placed by before the object. And the use of auxiliary verb was here in this particular sentence. Now before going into the conversion of sentences, I would just like to revise the past participle forms of a few verbs here. Eat will be ate and eaten. Sing, sang, and past participle form is sung. Drive, drove, driven. Write, wrote, written. Now changing it into active to passive, first let's look into the present tense form. Here we are going to deal with the three types: simple present, present continuous, and present perfect. In the simple present form, we will be using is and am for singular and are for plural, plus you will use past participle form. Now look at this very simple example I have taken. Shweta sings a song. In this sentence, Shweta is the subject, sings is the verb, and what is she singing? She is singing a song. So song is an object here. Now changing it into passive, what are the rules to be followed? You have to change subject and object will change places. So Shweta will become the object and song will become the subject. A song is, the past participle form of sing is sung. So a song is sung. By should be used before the object. So you are using by before Shweta, which is the object. So a song is sung by Shweta. Now let's look at the present continuous tense. In the present continuous tense, the format will be the same. Is, am, are, plus being is used for ing form. For any verb that has ing, like driving, reading, writing, etc., you used being plus past participle. Look at this example. He is driving a car. In this sentence, he is the subject. Is denotes it is present tense. Ing says that it is continuous. He is driving. What is he driving? A car. So this is the object. Changing it into passive, what is the format you have to use? Subject and object change places. So he will become him, car will become the subject. So a car, auxiliary verb is, because this is in the present continuous tense, ing form is used, so you have to use being. So is being. What is the past participle form of drive? It is driven. So a car is being driven by before the object, by he will become him in the passive. Now let's look at the present perfect tense. In the present perfect tense, you will be using has for singular, have for plural, and as you use has and have, you have to use been. Like for present continuous, you use ing being. For has and have, in the present perfect, you have to use been, B-E-E-N, plus the past participle form of it. Now let's look at the example given here. She has written a book. So in this sentence, she is the subject, has written is the verb, a book is the object. What is the change you have to do? Subject and object will change places. So she will become the object and book will become the subject. Now let's look. As a book has will be written like this, and you have to add been as I told you. Has been written is the past participle as it is. So by should be used before the object. So by is used. She becomes her here. So the sentence goes in the passive like this. A book has been written by her. So here she is the subject. Has written is the verb. A book is the object. So the book has become the subject here. A book has been written by her. So she being the subject is in the active and is the doer of the action. Here as the subject, a book is receiving the action. So it is passive. Students, we just finished the present tense form. We now move on to the past tense forms. In the past tense forms, we have the simple past, the past continuous and the past perfect. We start with the simple past tense. The format for simple past tense will be was for singular, were for plural plus the past participle. The example given here is Shweta sang a song. In this, Shweta is the subject, sang is the verb and a song is the object. While changing it into passive form, the rules that we follow is the subject and the object will change places as usual, as we have been doing so far. So Shweta will become the object and a song will become the subject. So in the passive form, a song was sung. The past participle form is sung by before the object. So by before Shweta. So the sentence is a song was sung by Shweta. So Shweta sang a song is changed in the passive as a song was sung by Shweta. Now let's move on to the past continuous tense. Already you saw in the present continuous tense that ing forms of verbs will take being with it. So here also was for singular, were for plural plus being plus past participle. The example here is he was driving a car. In the present tense he is driving a car because it was present tense. Here it is he was driving a car. Was denotes past tense. Driving ing form says that it is a continuous action in the past. So he was driving what? What was he driving? He was driving a car. So changing it into passive, a car, the subject has become the object and the object has become the subject. A car was being, ing form for driving being. The past participle of drive is driven by before the object. So by you have placed by and he becomes him. Is it clear? Now going to the next form, past perfect tense. In the past perfect tense, you will use had plus been plus past participle. The sentence here is, she had written, past tense, had written a letter. What has she written? She had written a letter. She is the subject. Had written is an action, so it is a verb. And what has she written? She has written a letter. So letter is an object. While changing it into passive, what is the condition we have to follow? Subject and object change their places. So she will become her and letter will become the subject. A letter had been. So you are adding along with had, you are adding been. A letter had been written is the past participle by before the object. So a letter had been written by her. She becomes her. As I told you earlier also, he will become him in the passive. She will become her in the passive. Students, we have now finished the present tense and the past tense. We now move on to the future tense. In the future tense, we will be focusing on simple future and future perfect. In the simple future, the format will be will or shall followed by be plus past participle. The example here given is, he will drive a car. He is the subject. Will drive is the verb which is in the simple future. And what is he driving? He is driving a car. So car is an object. So what is the procedure for changing active into passive? Go back to this. Subject will become the object and object will become the subject. So he will become him and car will become the subject. A car will, so the format is will plus be plus past participle. So a car will be, the past participle form of drive is driven by before the object. So you place by before him. So he has become him. A car will be driven by him. The next tense is the future perfect tense. The format for future perfect tense will be will or shall plus have been plus past participle. The example is, she will have written a letter. She is the subject. Will have written is the verb which is in the future perfect. And what she will have written? She will have written a letter. So a letter is the object. Changing this into passive, the same format principle has to be used. The subject and object will change their places. So she will become her, a letter will become the subject. A letter, the format is will plus have plus been plus past participle. So will plus have plus been plus written. So a letter will have been written. So by before the object. So you are placing a by here. The object is she has become her. So is it clear, children? A letter will have been written by her. So with this we finish the present, past and future tense, how to transform active into passive. In a few sentences you will find that there are two objects, direct object and indirect object. How do you identify the difference between direct object and indirect object? If it answers to the question what, it is direct object, and if it answers to the question for whom, it is indirect object. Now look at this sentence. His brother bought him a watch. His brother is the subject. Bought is the verb. What did he buy? See, if it answers to what, it is direct object. He bought a watch. For whom did he buy? For him. So it is indirect object. I repeat once again, direct object answers to the question what, and indirect object answers to the question for whom. So his brother bought him a watch. You can change this sentence into passive by either placing the direct object or also by placing the indirect object. Here I have started with the direct object. A watch. Here the direct object is watch. So I am starting the passive with a watch. Since this is bought, was bought by before the object as you see here. So by whom? By his brother. For whom? For him. So subject plus verb plus direct object plus indirect object. Is it clear, children? Do you have any doubts? Now students, you have active and passive voice in your textbook in page number 14, 15 and 16. You can go through them and you can refer to this video. If you have any doubts, it will easily be clarified. And you can do your assignment. You can try a few sentences. Transformation of active to passive on page number 16, exercise G and H. Wishing you all the best. Hope you understood and enjoyed the class. Stay home, stay safe. Bye-bye. See you in the next class.